Welcome to the College Football Prop Show on the LineStar YouTube channel. I'm Shannon Sommerville with your top college football player prop bets for Week 12. Cannot believe we are already at Week 12. We are 2 weeks out from Thanksgiving and 2 weeks out from Black Friday, so we got to go out there and get that money so we can take advantage of it. Last week we were 2-2, so didn't quite cash, so we got to redeem ourselves here in Week 12. We've got some great matchups on the slate, including, of course, the Georgia Bulldogs going up against Tennessee in what will certainly feel like a playoff atmosphere. I mean, the Bulldogs have to win if they want to be considered for the college football playoffs, so that should be a good game. I actually have two picks from that game that I really like. We'll recap our picks from last week, then get into this week's picks. But before we do, I just want to let you guys know that the tool that I'm using is the Props AI tool on the LineStar app. It's a great tool, and it basically helps me in the prop market find the best value by comparing LineStar's projections to what's out there in all of the different sports books. So throughout this video, I will be referencing those projections, and you'll see some screenshots pop up. That's just the LineStar app. So if you'd like to check it out for yourself, I recommend you do so, linestarapp.com. And then the picks are all available in places like Underdog, Sleeper, CHALKBOARD, Parlay Play. If you don't have those apps yet, you can download them, but the key is to use the promo code LineStar so you can get a nice deposit match. But you can also get 1 free month of the LineStar app. So that's a great way to take advantage and check out the LineStar app for free. So take advantage of that. Also, do me a huge favor before I get into picks this week. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment below. It helps me out tremendously in the good old YouTube algorithm, but it also helps you out because if we go 4 for 4 on our picks, one randomly selected commenter will win $60. So hopefully we'll be giving out money next week on the College Football Show. We've only got a couple weeks left, so we got to finish out strong here. Last week, just 2-2 on our picks. Where we went right was Phil Maffa crushed it for the Clemson Tigers. Jackson Dart, unfortunately for my Bulldogs, he still went over on rushing yards, even though he hurt himself in the first quarter ankle injury, but still was able to clear that fairly easily. Now, my read on the Georgia Tech Miami game, I did tell you guys to watch out and that Georgia Tech was likely going to upset Miami, but where I was wrong on the read was I thought that Georgia Tech would end up passing the ball against a weaker Miami pass defense. However, they just ran the ball. They put up 271 rushing yards against them and just ran the ball down their throat. So that was just kind of a poor read by me. And then Quintravian Wisner, 0 rush yards on 3 carries. He did have 59 receiving yards, but kind of a busted pick overall for me. So live and learn, and let's get some winners for this week. All right, we're going to start things off in the SEC with Gamecocks quarterback LaNorris Sellers under 207.5 passing yards. LineStar's projection is just 160 for Sellers. The consensus projection, which is basically an average of other industry leaders and their respective projections, that's just at 173, averaging 181 passing yards per game. He has been over this 3 of the last 5 games. And I will say that Sellers has shown significant improvement over the course of the season. However, he's going up against a very tough passing defense. Mizzou allowing just 161 passing yards per game. That's the second best in the SEC. And this will definitely be the toughest defense he's faced this season. The other one that he's faced that was pretty tough this year was Kentucky. They are 4th in the SEC in passing yards allowed, and he had just 166 against them. So I think this is a matchup that will lend to the under here, and that's exactly what LineStar is sort of projecting here. Mizzou, 12th in rush defense as well, so I think that the key for the Gamecocks here is to just run the ball and do what they do best, because it is what they do best. SC's offense is 5th in rushing yards per game in the SEC. And then we've got a game total of 41.5, which is kind of on the lower side of things. And South Carolina favored their home favorites minus 13.5. So if they get out to an early lead, I could just see them kind of running the ball against this Mizzou team. So I'm liking the game script here for LaNorris Sellers to go under that 207.5 passing yards mark. Next up to the SEC and what is likely the biggest game of the weekend, and that is the Georgia Bulldogs hosting the Tennessee Volunteers. And in this one, we're picking on a trend we've been picking on all season long, and that is quarterbacks going up against Georgia and their rushing yards. So we're going to Tennessee's Nico Iamaleava over 15.5 rushing yards. This is only available right now on PrizePicks. I do expect it to pop back up on Underdog. I think it might not be there because Nico right now is questionable. Last week he suffered a concussion, but he did travel with the team, and according to beat writers, they're planning on him playing in this contest. But LineStar's projection here for the rushing yards is 18.6. Nico's averaging about 24 rush yards per game and has been over that 15.5 mark in 5 of 9 games this season. As I mentioned, he suffered a concussion, but did travel with the team. And even hobbled quarterbacks can get over that rushing yards mark against this defense. As we saw last week with Ole Miss's quarterback Jackson Dart, he suffered an ankle injury in the first quarter and was still able to clear his rushing yards props. He had 50 rushing yards. Then we also saw Mississippi State's Martin Van Buren with 15 rushing yards, and that's the most he's had all season. He averages 0.6 rushing yards per game. Also, Auburn's Peyton Thorne, we cashed on this one back when they played him. 22 rushing yards for him. Alabama's Jalen Milroe most notably had 117 rushing yards against this Georgia defense. And even Kentucky's Brock Vandagriff put up 26 rushing yards. So I like this area that we're able to target here with Nico's rushing yards prop. On the flip side, I'm kind of fading my dogs here. Georgia's running back Nate Frazier under 79.5 rushing yards. LineStar's projection here is only 38, the consensus 56. I do expect those projection numbers to go up a little bit. We did just get some injury news regarding some of the Georgia running backs. Specifically, Trevor Etienne is listed as out in this game, and also Branson Robinson, Roderick Robinson, also ruled out in this one. Cash Jones, another running back for the Dogs, is in a walking boot, so it's not looking good for the Georgia running backs, which should bode well for the volume that Frazier is going to get. However, I'm still to the under on this one. We're looking at a running back that's only averaging 41.6, and I know that the injuries will give him a big usage boost in this one, but when Etienne was out week 1 against Clemson, Frazier had 83 rushing yards, but he's going up against a much tougher defense, specifically against the rush yards. Tennessee is 12th in the nation in rushing yards allowed and is second best in the SEC. They held Arkansas running back Jaquindon Jackson to just 57 rushing yards. And keep in mind, he is 4th in the SEC in rush yards per game, averaging 85 per game. So I don't think Nate Frazier will quite be able to get over that 80 rush yards mark that we need him to in order to cash this prop. So I think the value is actually to the under in this particular game. I think the key for the Dogs is that Carson Beck's just going to have to use the passing game in this one. Also, we've got an offensive line that has struggled throughout the season. Georgia really hasn't been able to establish a run game, and against this very good Tennessee defense, I think it's going to be tough for them to get the run game going, and they're going to have to lean on the pass game if they want to win this one. So that's where I'm going with those two props for this big time game. And lastly, we'll go to the SEC and a running back who's been on fire all season. This line, brace yourselves, because it is ridiculously high, but I'm still taking the over. Omarion Hampton, Tar Heels running back, over 117.5 rushing yards. It is crazy to think that we took this over a couple of weeks ago and the line was just like 100, but LineStar's projection is still 130.9 for Hampton. He's been over in 5 of 9 games, averaging 131 rush yards per game and going up against a very bad Wake Forest defense. 13th in the ACC in rush defense, giving up 147.8 rush yards per game. I mean, they also have a bad pass defense too. I still think Omarion Hampton is able to get like 150 in this contest. Game total here is 63.5, which is very high. And the Tar Heels are 10.5 point favorites in this one, which is a good game script for the running game. So if they get out to an early lead, just leave it to Hampton to take care of business on the ground. He's got great vision and patience to work through a defensive front. So love Hampton. He's been money for us all season. Why not go right back to him? I will say that this, of all of the picks that I gave out, is probably the one I'm most concerned about because it is so high, but I'm also like, at the end of the day, our projection is 130. This is something he's cleared time and time again. So I'm just going to run it back to the Tar Heels running back, who's an absolute stud, Omarion Hampton, over 117.5 rushing yards to round off our entry for this week. Again, we're going sellers under 207.5 passing yards, Nico over 15.5 rush yards, Nate Frazier under 79.5 rushing yards, and Omarion Hampton over 117.5 rushing yards. Now, as I mentioned, that rushing yard for Nico is just on PrizePicks right now. So once it pops back on there on Underdog, I will snag that one as well. But let me know if there's any I missed for this week. If there's any absolute locks, please let me know in the comments. Remember, a comment also enters you into the prop bets contest. So if we go 4 for 4, one randomly selected commenter will win $60. So hopefully we can cash in this week, get some money for Black Friday. Got to go out and get all sorts of gifts for all of our friends and families. Holiday season is upon us. I've already seen the Christmas decorations at all the stores. We're just skipping past Thanksgiving now, folks. It's just like straight to after Halloween, like the day after Halloween, it's just Christmas. And that's it. So we got to get our money, our funds up for that. Good luck in all of your prop betting endeavors for this week. And remember, we've also got NFL picks, NBA picks, all the picks here on the LineStar YouTube channel. So if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, and you may even want to sign up for notifications because a lot of times the lines change a lot. So the best way to get our picks right when we come out with them is to sign up for notifications. So good luck in all of your endeavors here in week 12 in college football. Go Dogs. We'll see you next time. Bye, guys.